if you don't know me, hi, my name is Heather O'Day, and I am the music director here at the Sonoran Desert Center for Spiritual Living. And so we kick off every Sunday morning with a song that has to go with our topic for the month. And this month it is a song called Attitude of Gratitude inside the pink sheet in your program. And if you'd like to stand, let's begin. I've got an attitude of gratitude. I'm grateful for this day, for peace of mind and wellness. I'm blessed in every way. My spirit works within me, and so it lives in you. There's so much to be thankful for. It's so easy to do. I've got an attitude of gratitude. I'm grateful for this place, for joyfulness belonging in every happy place. A spirit of abundance surrounds our every deed. And when I act in gratitude, I've got all that I need. I've got an attitude of gratitude. I'm grateful far and wide. Joyfulness is my map, and faith is my guide. Together we can share love. The only thing we need is an attitude of gratitude in heart and mind and deed.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Great week to be grateful, huh? As is every week. My name is Donald Green, and on behalf of Reverend Donna Maurer and the Board of Trustees, it's my distinct pleasure to welcome you here to the Sonoran Desert Center for Spiritual Living. Whoever you are and wherever you are in your spiritual path, here you'll be welcomed, you'll be supported and validated and encouraged to be all that you were meant to be. Our vision statement is love in action every day and every way. And we practice this by expressing the Declaration of Principles, which is on the back of your bulletin. And so if you'd follow along with me, maybe slowly so you can let these words wash over you. I believe there is an infinite intelligence operating throughout the universe. I believe this intelligent power is only good. I believe this intelligence expresses as me. And I believe through my conscious use of this power, I create my life as happy, healthy, and complete. And so it is. And I hope all of you are being happy, healthy, and complete at this very moment. I see a lot of faces here. There are some faces I don't know and some faces I haven't seen in a long time. So I'm going to ask anyone who's new if you would maybe raise your hand and tell me who you are, if just first name. Anybody? I see a row there where Jerry's in. Do it. The third lady next to you. Judy.
It's not her first time.
Not her first time. Where's she from?
Mesa.
Mesa. Welcome, Judy. Oh, yeah, sitting in the back of the room. Maybe most of you don't know, have probably not met her, but some of us have that work at the center often. We have Sharon in the very back, our new office administrator. Welcome, Sharon. Glad to see you here. Who else we have that's new? No one? We have some people returning, yes, that we haven't seen in a while. Right, Joan? I haven't seen Joan in a long time. We're glad you're back, Joan. Anyone else? No? Okay. Well, we thank you all for being here. Hopefully you can stay afterwards to enjoy refreshments with us. And so if you would please silence your cell phones. Namaste.
greatest and highest good. The God in me beholds the God in you, and you and I are one. Namaste. The God in me beholds the God in you. It is all for our greatest and highest good. The God in me beholds the God in you, and you and I are one. Namaste. Namaste.
Yay! In case you noticed, I forgot my talk at home. So good morning. We're thankful that each and every one of you found your way here this morning to share in the Sunday celebration with us, and for the opportunity to be blessed by Reverend Donna's message and the music of Heather. And when I came this morning, I brought my filled out Heartline response form. Did you bring yours? If you have it, fold it in half, and there's a basket in the back. Put it in the basket, and we'll take care of it from there. If you haven't gotten it yet, take one home today. We also are very fortunate to have a demonstration shared with us this morning by our practitioner, Judy Robertson. Judy, please come up and share with us.
Well, I have every reason to be very, very grateful. Earlier this year, in March, I was admitted to St. Mary's Hospital. I was in intensive care for almost 6 days. I had 4 tests, and it revealed I had what is called sudden cardiac death. It's not a heart attack. It's as though somebody unplugs you. Your heart just stops. You have no warning. You can't breathe. You have no air. I'm only standing here right now because of my faith, because I managed to get out to the sofa, and I sat down and I kept saying, God is the air that I breathe, over and over and over. Finally, I was able to get some breaths. So, my cardiologist, when I got out of the hospital, put me on 6 different medications. I do not take prescription medication on a regular basis. I was constantly telling him, I'm a practitioner. I understand the mind-body connection. I know what happened, I know what's going on, and I know what to do. He said, I don't care. Keep taking your medication. Finally, I convinced him I could get rid of 2 of them. So he said, Judy, in June, I had to have what's called an echocardiogram, an EKG. He said, you need a heart pacer. I said, no, I am not having a heart pacer. Never. Come back and see me in 3 months. Keep taking your medication. I had an EKG. It was perfect. There was nothing wrong with me. I said, Dr. Consagra, I can do everything. I've gone twice to Michigan this year. I've walked through 3 airports. I'm having no trouble. I don't care. You come back in February. We'll do another echocardiogram. Keep taking your medication. Oh. Well, I got a notice from my insurance company, my health insurance. It said my potassium was so high, I was in stage 3 kidney failure. Oh my God, 5.3. I immediately made an appointment. I went right back about a month ago to see him. I took this information. He said, "Where did you get that?" I said, "From my health insurance." Well, he ordered blood work. I had my blood work done. I went back to see him last Thursday afternoon, and guess what? My potassium is perfect, 4.3. My heart is perfect. All of my vital signs are perfect. I'm on no medication at all, 0. And wow, perfect. And I said, "Dr. Consagra, prayer works. Prayer works, thank you." And that's my affirmative prayer statement. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. And you shared with me, too, that the doctor said, "You have healed your heart." Isn't that amazing? Really nice. So, guess what? We are here to accept your prayer requests. Either write them on the cards on the prayer table or submit them online at our website's homepage, cslaz.org. And now I light this candle, representing the light of good within each and every one. And I will take it to the prayer table and hold the high watch, knowing your divinity. The invocation this morning is from our founder, Ernest Holmes. "The substance of the Spirit is my daily supply. I cannot be without my good. I can see that the constant stream of life flowing to me brings into my experience all that makes life happy and worthwhile. I rest in my security, knowing that the infinite good is within and is expressing through me. I receive my good." And together we say, "And so it is." My message today includes permission from friends to share their words and stories. Today I'd like to share some of my radical forgiveness journey, or how I cracked open. I'd taken a few online courses with Reverend Michelle from Jersey, focusing on the shadow self and forgiveness. She also offered each of us a personal session, which was the beginning of a significant transformation for me. In one of these classes, I met another practitioner from Oregon, Berna Lee. We connected over similar issues we wanted to work on and began an online relationship that has lasted over 2 years. Together, we decided to purchase an online certification course to become radical forgiveness coaches. I knew this course would introduce me to some new concepts, that it was based in spiritual principles, and I was ready to learn. So I entered the process with a beginner's mind. Suzuki Roshi shares that with an open mind, uncluttered with preconceptions, you become flexible and curious. In the beginner's mind, he says, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. I was open to the possibilities. I credit Reverend Michelle for helping me to be willing, which became the key to my new levels of awareness. Working with Berna Lee kept me engaged. You know, it's usually better to have a partner. You can keep each other on track. Berna Lee is a fabulous practitioner and a very special friend. She is open about life circumstances that hurt her in the past and planted false beliefs. She was willing to share exactly how she interpreted situations to validate victimhood. There were times my impatience asked her not to go on and on. Now I see it was necessary. She was ready to experience radical forgiveness. Her openness slowly cracked me open. I found my victimhood deeply buried under all the spiritual books and workshops of the past. And by cracked open, I mean my egoic defenses were exposed, revealing my underlying victim consciousness. I was so proud of my survival techniques that I was unable to own my deeply buried "I'm not good enough" false beliefs that I could move into and enjoy the thriving mode, where love and joy are experiences, not just concepts. I don't think awakening to true love and joy are possible until you find the stinky garbage and dispose of it. My experience validated that study and words are dead only when they are undertaken without integrating them into personal experience. Willingness enables surrender of short-term self-indulgence and long-term spiritual growth. Today, I realize I can transform or let go of aspects of myself only when I own them. And as Bernoulli says, we experience the spiral nature of cleaning out victim consciousness and egoic human misconceptions. Together, guided by radical forgiveness, we discovered the assumptions that were interfering with our higher capacity for self-love. We dug deep and cleared out blocks and attributed to our separation from Source. We were required in this course to lead others through the process, all done online, and discovered that this radical forgiveness 5-step process opens the minds and hearts of many who have been long-term spiritual seekers. For example, as Sandra Pinney shared, one of our fellow seekers, whom's been staying in Canada recently, I no longer fear any negative emotions arising in my human relationships that seem to reoccur throughout my life and drain me of vital energy. This process has given me the tools I need to allow the feelings and to look beyond appearances to the spiritual truth in order to be my authentic self. I hope several of you will join me in January as we journey through the radical forgiveness process in a 5-week course on Saturday mornings here at the center. There's a sign-up sheet over at the table. Thank you and namaste.
I have to tell you that everything that Melinda just said is absolutely true. I was one of those people that was in one of Melinda and Bernoulli's classes as well, and it unlocks your world. So if you have an opportunity to take that class on Saturdays with her, please take advantage of it. It is a powerful, powerful process. And this song was actually inspired by that process of radical forgiveness. And it arrived last November 1st, believe it or not, as we were outside at the Oasis, and Melinda was discussing radical forgiveness, and we were talking about these same things in this month of gratitude and opening to each other. And Melinda was giving her talk, and sure enough, all of a sudden my heart opened, and a song came called "My Heart is Open to Forgiveness." receive all of love. My heart is open to forgiveness. My heart is open to receive of love. They say, so you give, you shall receive, and I believe that's true. And because everything is love, that's what I'll send to you. My heart is open to forgiveness. My heart is open to receive of love. My heart is open to forgiveness. My heart is open to receive of love. My heart is open to receive of love. Thank you. Namaste.
Okay, good morning. Well, since this is a week of Thanksgiving, I want to begin by giving thanks that we can be together this year as a spiritual family. It was not good last year, just so. And I also want to thank Sherry Hartvick for being our coordinator. We do have spaces available. If you haven't signed up on a table, you just look for where there's a space and sign up. And then there's also another sign-up sheet if you'd like to bring a dish. So please do that and join us for Thanksgiving. Our topic this week is in all things. And that's from, of course, the Apostle Paul. He says, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God concerning you. And you've heard our practitioners and me use that statement frequently because it's an important statement, and I think sometimes we gloss over it because we may not be able to give thanks for an experience, but we can find something to be grateful for within it. And I think that's the most important thing because we tend to do that as human beings. I was reading something from a UU minister who was saying that when she first started being a chaplain, she was asked to pray with people, and she was brand new and really didn't know how to pray, someone that's a devout Christian or a devout Jew. And so she just kind of said a few sweet words and said, now you pray. And she said in almost every case, it was a prayer of thanksgiving, even if it was at the deathbed of a loved one. So certainly with all the things that we've gone through with the pandemic, we can probably all come to the conclusion that in all things give thanks. There's something in that to give thanks for. And we've had conversations about the horrors of COVID. And perhaps we've been through it with someone we love, or we've lost somebody that we love. And yet, on that other side, We found COVID projects. And Joan is here today, and she was the one that first told me about painting rocks and putting them out for people. And Loma said that every single tile in her whole room you could eat off of. You know, so we all had these COVID projects, which is the kind of the antithesis of the horridness of it. Because being isolated, we had to turn within. And so many of us also deepened our spiritual practices because COVID gave us the time to do so. Physician and author Lisa Rankin puts it this way: it's about cultivating the ability to hold a paradox. We can both feel the deep pain of grief, loss, and tragedy, and we can be grateful for the ways in which such experiences crack us open, shatter the illusions of the ego, and wake us up to the truth of being. We can cry out with the horror of the heartbreak, and we can also feel gratitude for the opportunity to dive all the way into the fully enlivening human experience of heartbreak. Both can be true at the same time without skipping anything. So we can welcome it all: the betrayal, the violation, the disappointment, the horror, but also the ways in which tragedy brings us together, reminds us who we are, helps us remember what our core values are, and knocks us out of the complacency of everyday life. One of our Coffee with the Rev meetings that we have on Tuesday mornings focused on the pandemic in ways that we could be grateful in it, and we agreed that Zoom was one of those blessings, allowing us a way to connect across the miles, and Melinda mentioned Sandra Penny in Canada. We've got Dan and Jackie in South Dakota. We've got Ruth Bennett in Ecuador. These are all people who are able to connect with us across the miles because of Zoom. And I think, too, we're recognizing the preciousness of being able to gather like we're gathering today. Before, we took our gatherings for granted, our time with friends, family, our spiritual community. So again, this is finding that gratefulness in something considered to be the worst health crisis in our history, that now we're coming together and we can give thanks for it. And all of these things lead us back to our ability to hold the paradox, to know that good and evil, joy and sorrow, elation and devastation are all two sides of one coin. And that if we can allow our pain and sorrow to break open our hearts, then we find a deeper connection with all of life and with ourselves. So Melinda and I didn't talk, by the way, pretty much saying the same thing. We think of Thanksgiving as a time to celebrate. And when I was when I was a Sunday school superintendent at Founders Church, I had kids through 6th grade, from kindergarten through 6th grade. We put a play on about the first Thanksgiving. And the kids were dressed as pilgrims or Indians. We brought canned goods to show our abundance, And my then husband even made a great big Mayflower out of styrofoam and painted it so the kids could stand behind it and wave when we took pictures. So it was portrayed, the first Thanksgiving then was portrayed as a happy time with everybody giving thanks for the abundance of the harvest. But the real Thanksgiving was not so pretty. Well, it's true that there was genuine friendship and goodwill between the Pilgrims and the Native Americans in the fall of 1621. The rest of the story is brutal and tragic. The Pilgrims, originally called separatists because they did not want to follow the doctrines of the Church of England, were persecuted in their own country. They tried fleeing to Holland, where indeed they were safer, but they were concerned that their children would be assimilated into the Dutch culture and religion. So their only answer, they believed, was to go to the new country where they could raise their children as they wanted. So on November 20th, 1620, when the little ship Mayflower reached landfall at Cape Cod, the 100 men, women, and children on board were disappointed to discover that they were 300 miles to the north of their more temperate Virginia destination. So after a few weeks of scratching out a living on an exposed spit of sand near Provincetown, the settlers sailed across to the richly forested and protected mainland at Plymouth, where they hoped they would find food and safe harbor to ride out their first winter. The next few months proved to be a nightmare. There was very little to eat. They survived on small portions of salt beef and hardtack and developed scurvy because there was no fruit or vegetables to be had. Almost everyone fell sick, and fully half of the expedition died, cold and horrible deaths, before spring. Without the help of the local Wampanoag Indians, who generously shared food with the Pilgrims that winter and showed them how to plant and cultivate the native corn the next spring and summer, the colony would have been completely wiped out. So luckily for the 50 survivors, that first summer was a generous one. So in spite of all the hardships and horrors they'd endured, in spite of what must have been their nearly bottomless grief and suffering, the surviving Pilgrims decided to mark their good fortune and give thanks to God and to creation. So they put on a 3-day celebration of food and festivities for themselves and their Native American friends. And William Bradford, the first governor of the new colony, wrote, "Our harvest being gotten, our governor sent 4 men out fowling, so they might, after a more special manner, rejoice together after we had gathered the fruit of our labors. And although it may not always be so plentiful as it was at this time with us, yet by the goodness of God, we are so far from want that we wish others to partake of our plenty." So, every family in that little colony was touched by the ravages of disease, despair, and death. And yet the choice was not to wallow in grief, not to mourn the hardship they had faced, but in spite of everything, to celebrate the bounty and give thanks. And here's something, I just read this one, I didn't really know this. It was Abraham Lincoln who created the Thanksgiving tradition that we know today, and he did it during one of the worst years of American history. In 1863, the nation was in the midst of the Civil War, and violence had already claimed the lives of 500,000 people, which was nearly 15% of the U.S. population. Even if the North managed to win, nobody knew what victory would look like or if the country would ever be whole again. And it was against that backdrop that President Lincoln made his Thanksgiving Day proclamation. "I do invite my fellow citizens to set apart and observe the last Thursday of November next as a day of Thanksgiving, and I recommend they do also with humble penitence commend to God's tender care all those who have become widows, orphans, mourners, or sufferers." So both the first Thanksgiving and the proclamation of its observance were born from the darkness of hardship and tragedy. And that, again, is the ability to hold the paradox. Eli Wiesel, a survivor of the Holocaust of 6 million Jews, wrote, "Gratitude emerges from the kingdom of night." I love that statement. So gratitude is not, in this model, the result of good fortune, happiness, or great success. Instead, gratitude is a response to life itself. It emerges precisely at our darkest moments. And I think this is what is so amazing about the resiliency of our human spirit. And I believe, especially for those on a spiritual path, that those most painful things become exactly what opens our heart. Khalil Gibran tells us in The Prophet, "Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. Even as a stone of the fruit must break, that its heart may stand in the sun, so you must know pain. And could you keep your heart in wonder at the daily miracles of your life, your pain would not seem less wondrous than your joy. And you would accept the seasons of your heart, even as you have always accepted the seasons that pass over your fields, and you would watch with serenity through the winters of your grief. And when Julian of Norwich asked her Lord, and she had these showings that would come to her, but she was praying about what is the meaning of suffering. And what she got back was a statement that we all know: all shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. So when you and I are able to find that light, that place in the darkness that tells us that no matter what, all manner of things shall be well, then we are holding that paradox in our heart, understanding that the pain we are feeling now will ultimately deepen our heart's ability to feel and to love. I read an article by Reverend Daniel Schatz, C-H-A-T-Z. He's a UU minister who told about a colleague of his, Reverend Phil Simmons, who lived with ALS for 9 years. Reverend Simmons wrote a book entitled Learning to Fall. And toward the end of his young life, I think he died at 37 or 38, the book began to receive some notoriety. So in a radio interview, the reporter asked him to describe the highlights of his life since being diagnosed with ALS. Highlights, thought Phil, you've got to be kidding. But he answered as best he could, realizing later what he should have said: getting my fingernails cut this morning. Here was Susan, he said, my friend and nurse, trimming my nails as I sat warmed by the morning sun. My wife beside me writing postcards and sipping coffee. If we're looking for what's sacred, what's holy, why look any further? The sacred world is before our eyes and in our nostrils and beneath our feet. What I should have told the radio interviewer is, if you're looking for highlights, you'll miss your life. So you and I have the choice, as Einstein said, to see everything as a miracle or nothing as a miracle. And I think most of us believe the former, that there are miracles that come from everyday experiences. You know, I love the fact that my cat cuddles next to me in the bed and sticks her nose up against mine. It just warms my heart. And I love the smell of fresh coffee that John makes that helps me wake up in the morning. And those are and all of those miracles that come from the kingdom of night that break us open to hold the paradox of joy and suffering allow us to experience those miracles of a little cat purring in our ear, or whatever tiny thing draws us into the mystery. On this Thanksgiving and year-round, may we remember to give thanks in all things. And since this is a rather serious talk, I want to hold the paradox and close with a Thanksgiving Day poem. May your stuffing be tasty. May your turkey plump. May your potatoes and gravy have nary a lump. May your yams be delicious and your pies take the prize, and may your Thanksgiving dinner stay off of your thighs. Thank you. Namaste. It is time for our offering, and gosh, what a time to be thankful, you know? It's just so many things. So I'd like to ask you to join me in our offering affirmation. My gift goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless all that it touches. It is evidence of my conviction that God is the source and substance of my supply. I share generously of my good, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly, and so it is.
cannot do all the good that the world needs. But the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs. The world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good the world needs. The world needs all the good that I can do.
I'm so grateful to each and every one of you. And so let's just take a moment to close this portion out in prayer, and then there's refreshments on the table. Practitioners, we do have a meeting afterwards, so I guess we'll meet in the meditation room. Okay, so right now I just know that I am grateful for every heart that beats in this room, because there is one heart. It is the heart of God. And it manifests in the deep love that we share for each other, for all people, and for the world. I give thanks that we are here together, that we are putting COVID in the rearview mirror so that we can begin again with a deeper respect and understanding of holding that paradox. I speak my word for anyone who's experiencing any type of a challenge, to know that the healing power of God is right in the midst of that challenge. There is no spot where God is not. And I simply know that all is well. All is well. All manner of things are well, and so it is.
So it is.
Okay, shall we get into our circle?
So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace.